สวัสดีครับในปีนี้นะครับความสัมพันธ์ทางการทูตระหว่างประเทศไทยและประเทศแคนาดานะครับได้ครบรอบวาระ 60 ปีพอดีเลยทีเดียวซึ่งสถานทูตแคนาดาในประเทศไทยนะครับก็ได้มีการจัดเตรียมเฉลิมฉลองแล้วก็มีกิจกรรมต่างๆมากมายเลยทีเดียวและในวันนี้บุรินทร์เจอร์นี่ก็จะพาคุณมาทราบกันนะครับว่าในอนาคตข้างหน้านะครับทางสถานทูตแคนาดาหรือประเทศแคนาดาเองเนี่ยเขามีทิศทางที่จะร่วมพัฒนาในเรื่องของความยั่งยืนนะครับกับประเทศไทยไปในทิศทางไหนต้องมาติดตามกันครับ For the maybe closing activity of the relationship between Thai and Canada for 60 years for this exhibition take your seat how did you select this exhibition to be the closing event
so it actually was originally planned to be earlier but because of COVID we had to delay it a little bit But I still think it's a wonderful way to close off our celebration of 60 years of diplomatic relations because it's something that is open to everyone. It's here in Icon Siam in this space that it's easy for people to come and see. And we wanted something that everybody, old and young, could come and enjoy and appreciate and make them feel a little bit that they're visiting Canada because the last 2.5 years because of COVID it's been very difficult for people to travel so we wanted people to at least be able to travel in their imagination and imagine themselves in Canada and also to see how in some ways Canada and Thailand are more similar than you might think.
And why did you pick up the father and son artists for this exhibition?
So the two photographers from the exhibition, Randy and Spencer van der Staren, so they're two Canadian photographers. And I actually met them quite a while ago, about 5 years ago.
I see.
And they were working on a similar project, but to do photos in Japan and photos of Canada and Japan. So I already knew them from a previous job I was working on. So when I came here and we were thinking about ways to celebrate the 60th anniversary, I thought, maybe this would be a good thing to do here as well because they did a similar exhibit in Tokyo that was very successful. So I really liked the idea of doing something the same here. And so we spoke to them, we reached out to them, and then we were very lucky, we were able to get them to participate and get a number of other organizations, including Icon Siam and various other people to help us so that we could hold the exhibition this year for 60th anniversary.
I see. And what about the next project for the Canadian Embassy here in Thailand?
So we are just, as I said, just finishing with this 60th anniversary celebration. And actually, some of the things we did for 60th anniversary, we hope will keep on going. So we supported a project that the Ministry of Culture did here. They published 2 books called, in English, Amity or Samisapa. So they're translations of Canadian and Thai short stories. So those I hope will have a long life and people will continue to read them. But for us now, so we're celebrating and closing the celebration of 60th anniversary. And I think now we'll start to focus more on APEC because Thailand is hosting APEC this year. And we expect that there will be some very high-level senior meetings and events around those that will be happening here in Thailand starting, well, some have already started, but especially from May through to November.
Oh, I see. So for this year, we're going to focus on maybe that APEC meeting.
Yes, yeah, and the opportunities it brings for high-level meetings and discussions. And I think especially it will be very important because everyone is very concerned about how do we build back better after COVID, how do we try and first get out of the pandemic, but then also how do we ensure sustainable, fair growth after that. And so high-level meetings like the APEC meetings are a very good opportunity to start those discussions and to try and think about what we do next.
So talking about the sustainability aspect, what kinds or what objective for SDG that Canadian Embassy would like to focus on in Thailand?
So we like Thailand very focused on trying to move forward and achieve the SDGs, and in particular because we're concerned about the impact that COVID and the pandemic has had. So there are a number of different areas that we work together, but I'd say a couple where we're particularly focused. One is on women's empowerment and gender equity, because we know that the COVID pandemic has had a greater impact on women and on girls. And so really important if we're going to reach the SDG goals that we need to try and fix that and start moving forward again on equity and greater economic empowerment for women. So that's certainly one of the areas we want.
And one of the activity that we have covered is the Ambassador for a Day.
Yes, exactly. So that's just one example of ways we try and work to inspire young Thais. We hope to think about gender equity and for young Thai women to maybe think about jobs or roles that they wouldn't otherwise have thought to do. And also then to encourage young Thai men to also be, we say, allies for gender equity and for them to support that as well.
I see. And talking about the relationship between Thailand and Canada, in your opinion, how do you see the similar relationship or similar with Canada and Thailand, maybe in aspect of people and also the diversity of the country?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think this exhibit shows this. Many people think of Canada and Thailand as very different countries.
And we are very far away.
We're far away. We're on opposite sides of the world, 12 hours apart. But when you start looking more closely, I think there are quite a few things we actually have in common. So as you said, very diverse countries, geographically very diverse, and then also very diverse in our people. And both, we call middle powers, medium-sized countries who have big neighbors, and so who need to think about our place in the world and how we work with big neighbors. We're both countries that rely a lot on trade, so we're very focused to the outside world. And we're countries that rely a lot also on small and medium-sized enterprises. That they're in Thailand and in Canada, they're really the backbone of our economy. So there are a whole range of things that we have in common, and so I think there's so much more we can do together.
I think one of the things is the generosity of the people as well. We are very similar on that.
Indeed. No, you're absolutely right, and that Thailand is known as a very welcoming country, and Canada also. We're both countries that have lots of tourists come to visit, but I think even more than that people welcome others and are very open and warm. So I think that's also something I've experienced in Thailand, and I hope many Thais experience in Canada as well.
จุดหมายคงไม่มีความสำคัญ